while I was gone, and also to Shantae. You guys are rock star pinch hitters, always showing up. So big and so grateful for you.
Oh, I want to hear thank you, and we missed you. And Shantae is a rock star, and we had a great session last week. We were lighting up this channel without you in hopes you could maybe see the light from across the world. But
Well,
I want to hear about the oil. How was your trip through Europe? We want to hear highlights, including what you were eating. And did you put on any LBs, or were you lucky and not?
Europe was amazing. And oh my goodness, we kind of did a whirlwind tour from London. And then from London, Natalie went to Lisbon. I took the kids to Athens, and we hopped on a boat and jumped around some Greek islands. Then we all met up in Cyprus. Actually, Natalie came to Athens for a day. We did some touring there, went to church together, then to Cyprus. And Cyprus is just this little gem. It's tucked away in the Mediterranean. It is so gorgeous. The weather was fantastic. We got to be with our dear friends, Matthias and Sabine, presidential diamonds from Germany, who now live in Cyprus. And then we all hopped on a plane to Budapest, and we did an event for doTERRA there. And that's where we wrapped up and then came back home. But yeah. So somebody commented like the pictures from Europe looked amazing. So beautiful. And can I just share a little bit of the not so pretty side of Europe?
Of course.
So as I was looking at Greece, I was like, Athens, I keep hearing is just kind of, it's cool. You got to see the Parthenon, and there's some great temples there, but it's just a really busy, big city. And so get out of Athens as soon as you can. So obviously the islands is where I was drawn to. And so I was like, oh my gosh, how cool would it be if we booked a yacht and we sailed around the Greek islands for 4 days? And so, looking at the pictures, reading blogs, I was like, okay, this is definitely the way. So we sprung, we paid a lot extra. And let me just tell you, there are yachts out there that we saw that you can rent for $500,000 a day. That was not our yacht.
$500,000 to rent the yacht, not let alone
Just
buy the yacht.
Just to rent.
Gotcha.
And that was a different experience from what we had.
Oh no.
We did have enough room for everyone to sleep.
Now all of a sudden I'm for some reason at like Gilligan's Island with you.
So there was room for everyone to sleep. We all had our own beds, but we would wake up every morning covered in mosquito bites. The sewage system wasn't working properly. And so we had the fresh smell of that.
Oh boy, Andy.
In the cabins. And then, you're constantly running the motor. And so there's also that mixed with the smell of gas running through the cabins the whole time. And then you've just got the waves, right? Like the rain or shine, you got to get to where you're going. And so you're on the waves. And so we had people throwing up, and we had a lot of rain. And so let me just say that when you see pictures of people on yachts, it's not always the full picture. So we had the experience, we're checking it off our list, and we are just grateful that everyone is alive and well. We had about 3/4 of us get sick on the boat, like came down with something. I don't know if it was mosquitoes or just a bug that went around. So anyways, glad to be home.
You're like so happy to be home.
The best part was it's about 50 degrees all the time indoors. And then there's no hot water. And so to take a shower, you're standing in the bathroom. There's no actual shower. You're just standing in the bathroom. You pull this hose from the counter and you spray yourself with freezing cold water. And that's the shower for the yacht experience. So we all were so happy to have a hot shower in Athens. It was like a dream. So I'm not complaining. I just wanted to give a full picture because I didn't post about that on social media. Maybe I should.
Mhm. Yeah.
But,
I do love sometimes a good post on social that's like Instagram versus reality, right?
Right.
I've shared some of those myself where, because often we only see the highlight reel. So thank you for keeping it real, that there
Yes.
are trade-offs, right? And it's like, whoa, someone's maybe a little seasick, or a few. Okay, maybe we've got this thing going. Yeah,
But
amusing.
the food through the whole trip was amazing. And MetaPower continues to amaze me. I was able to not put on any weight for the 2.5 weeks I was there, and we did not spare any carbs. So Cyprus, I have to tell you, amazing food. Like there's Greek, there's a little bit of everything in Greece, and something about the Mediterranean diet. It's just like it's so simple but so delicious. All
Mm,
the healthy fats and just
mhm,
wholesome, good food. So
mhm. And I think their carbs are happier over there.
they are happier.
I'm just saying, like
The
Katie's saying,
croissants,
I never gain in Europe when eating all the bread. I just think that again, they do, quality of ingredients matters.
yes.
So,
When you look at what ingredients are illegal in most countries, but not in America, you're like, oh, maybe they
maybe
figured
there's
some
something
stuff
to that.
out that we haven't yet.
Maybe something to that, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah. Just high
just
fructose
saying.
syrup for starters. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And I assume you also were traveling with the oil of repentance on you at all times too.
Oh yes. Yes.
Uh,
MetaPower with repentance in a bottle is a
which,
fantastic duo.
yes, everyone is called Digest Zen.
Yes.
I was informed by Andy a couple of Mexico trips back that that is what we really call Digest Zen, the oil of repentance.
That's right.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So tell us
Well,
about some events you've got coming up.
well, we've got a few things like that have been percolating that are happening. I did this day on last Friday with my previous clients, our little community. We did what we call a create and complete day. We spent 4 hours together and we meet the top of the hour every hour, get clarity to a task, get on it for like 50 minutes, 45 minutes, and then circle back up top of the hour. My friends, I just invite you. I share that simply because I got so much done. I got so much caught up. And it's just the power of like focus, right? Putting yourself into that. So that was a fun thing that's just barely happened. And then I have a mastermind this summer that will kick off mid-June, June 13th, that I've done the last several summers. We have a great lineup for that. And then the convention event, which some of you have messaged me about, a few of you, I promise you, we will get back to you. The link is now finally live as of yesterday, but I'm having a gathering, an intimate gathering, 50 people at a home I've rented in Heber, which is about 45 minutes from the Salt Lake City airport. So whether you're going to Uber, Lyft, or drive, or carpool up to that, but we are meeting on September 12th, Tuesday, and that will be a fun experience and just nourishing. I have a private chef. She's making some really good talking about holistic food and nutrition. And we'll just get out, we'll have the flip chart. Flip chart will go deeper. I had a client here in town from Arizona yesterday doing something similar to help grow her business. And I just am looking forward to doing that. So that will be coming up. But Andy, if you'll also clarify, because you guys also have an event, he wasn't necessarily aware of that, but he's still going to be coming to my retreat and showing up and adding some value there. Look at that view, my friend. But if you want to share about the event, you're also hosting, just so friends know, if they're coming in town for convention, they've got some options before convention starts to get nourished and to get invested in.
Yeah. So I also, Natalie and I did some strategery, and it looks like I'll be able to come to at least a little bit of your event if you'd like. So I'd love to
100%. I mean, who
show
doesn't
up.
want Andy Goddard
So,
in the room?
so that'll be fun. And then we're doing a rank retreat that's all day Tuesday and half day Wednesday. And so this is for all different ranks. We're going to have breakouts by rank. And so that's focused on building the business. And Natalie and I are all about the the breakthrough. So that's the focus there is getting the breakthrough you need to get to the next rank. And then on Wednesday afternoon, we'll be doing the emotions event. So we'll be demonstrating the emotional breakthrough process. You can tell we're big on breakthrough, kind of a theme here. And so yeah, that'll be a nice introduction course for people who don't know about essential emotions. But also, if anyone's interested in the coaching program, kind of an introduction to that as well. So the rank retreat, you can go to sharesuccess.com/events. And the emotions event is essentialemotions.com/events. So
Love it.
come play. We've got
Yes,
lots of options.
Come spend time with us. I will also be dropping into the emotions event and be down there with you all when that's taking place on Wednesday. Yeah, just good things. You also, in terms, add one more link, if you will, to that little chat box. You can go to myoilscoach.com. is now up and live as of yesterday. So we do have that up as well for all those details too.
Awesome.
But I'm just thrilled. Like, here's the thing. I'm just grateful we're back together. We're creating, it's been a couple of years with all the interesting experience with the pandemic and all of that business, that it's just good to be back in person. And I love that experience. We love meeting and gathering with you and creating connection, going deeper, expanding your businesses, helping you with what, strategically what you're wanting to create. So I'm looking forward to it. A lot of good things happening.
It's going to be great. Somebody was asking where the rank retreat will be held. Right now, we're planning on hosting that at our home in Alpine. So that's another 45-minute drive from Salt Lake Airport. If the numbers get big enough, we might move it to doTERRA corporate. So for now, the plan is the home in Alpine. So, Tiff, Karina's asking about your event. That's at myoilscoach.com, right?
Yeah, myoilscoach.com. Don't you love that URL, Andy?
I love it.
But I mean, we snatched that up like 12 years ago.
Wow.
Back in the day.
Awesome. And what are you calling your event so I can put that on Facebook?
It's one word, and that one word is nourish.
Nourish. Awesome.
You, your purpose, and your business. And so, but normally these events, we rent out a ballroom and we do these large, few hundred people in the room, upwards to 1,000 people. And we've done all kinds of range of that called Heart and Hustle before convention. But I just feel drawn to, I want a more intimate space and to actually feed you and swag and fun things like that. But so it's just simply going to be 50 folks, 50 people. Will sell out pretty quickly. I haven't promoted it anywhere publicly. We talked about it here last week. You're the first group to know and have first dibs on those tickets before we send it out to the group. And I just love being again in that more intimate space. It's like yesterday, I had a VIP day in my home. It's a 4-hour experience. This woman flew in from Arizona to help work on her business. And I love that. It's like we have good snacks, because you need that, healthy snacks, good snacks, right? Some essential oils diffusing and light music on. And then we've got a flip chart and markers. And it's like, we're in the zone to create magic, right? So anyway, me and snacks, Andy.
For sure.
The way that it's going to go.
Don't get us started on snacks. We can spend the next half hour on it.
Yeah. Well, we'll be here forever talking about favorite snacks. But I will tell you, I do believe currently, I'm open to learning something different, but I do think Trader Joe's is like king of the snack world.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
King of the snack world. So.
Hey, can I put a quick plug too?
For Trader Joe's.
And also we're hosting a rank retreat starting tomorrow for Train to Silver. And then we're also doing Experience doTERRA starting Friday and going through Saturday. So both of those are also at sharesuccess.com/events. So we've already got a really great lineup of people presenting at those. I was just looking at the registration list. And we've got James Bybee in town. We've got Victor Bedell Both those are presidential diamonds. We've got Lassen and Brian Huddleston, both presidential diamonds. Gosh, it's just a really full lineup. So, Experienced doTERRA focused on business prospects. So if you've got someone who's thinking about doing the business, great little intro, great chance for them to see what it's all about, to really feel the heart and soul of the company, the culture. We do a tour of campus. They meet an owner. It's going to be great. So also at sharesuccess.com/events.
When is your next Experience doTERRA event? Because I think that is
That's
so rich and valuable.
Friday and Saturday.
This Friday, Saturday. Okay.
Yep. So in 2 days.
Here we go.
Here we go. Natalie and I looked at each other the other day and we're like, you know what? We're pretty much just an event business now. We hosted 2 of the Reclaim Your Health events. The first one, we had 200 people here in the house. And then last night we hosted one with about 90. And that's pretty much all we do now is run events. So can I just give a little plug for the power of events? Because in Budapest, they had 2,000 people at their Super Saturday event. And I was like, man, it's so cool you guys are doing these once in a while. They're like, yeah, every month. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, we hold this every month. And so they did this recognition portion. It took a half an hour just to recognize all of the new ranks. And I love what Seth Risme says. Big decisions are made at big events. And so Budapest is leveraging the power of live events, and they're doing those month in, month out. I was so inspired. So I think we can up our game here when it comes to getting people out, getting off your couch and coming to live events. Because if we could fill a room with 2,000 people once a month, man, that's what all the big network marketing companies are built on, just events. Mm-hmm. So there's power there.
Yeah, so good. So good. Lots of good things that are happening. And I'm with you, is like, and hosting your own events, even if, again, your gatherings and get-togethers, like if you have, make and takes and summer barbecues and just various things where you can regularly be sharing your product, modeling that, putting that out there, how powerful that is. So yeah, so good.
100%. Should we jump into some coaching? Let's
do it.
I like it. So the drill, raise your hand if you want to come on live. We always love to have real conversations. Could be about your goals, about any blocks, anything in your business that you want to talk about. We are here to serve. And if you prefer, you can just put your comments, your questions in the chat or in Facebook comments. Karina's asking, does it take a lot of money to do a retreat? It all depends. We have seen the whole gamut. The worst thing that I've seen was somebody did a 4-hour retreat and they spent $45,000 marketing that event. This was in Singapore. And as you can guess, they didn't get a return on that investment. And then I've seen the other end of the spectrum where people have held 2 or 3 day retreats and they just do it in someone's home. And they do it pretty much potluck. Like people just bring your own food and let's just gather, right? It doesn't have to cost anything, right? To just gather. So it can be as big or small as you choose. My coaching would be don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. It can be really powerful and really inexpensive. Any coaching on that, Tiff?
Exactly what you said. I think what matters, again, I have this word framed in my office that says gather, literally one word, and the power of doing that, right? Gathering people and creating connection, because remember, that's how we grow your business, is through connection. And when you're in person, nothing like being in person, right? Then sure, we absolutely can connect on Zoom. I love that we're here every week, right? And it's just a whole next level of richness when we have time together to create experience. There's a great book and TED Talk called The Experience Economy. If you've never read or listened to that, phenomenal read. Gary out of Harvard, a dear friend of mine, went to business school with him, and he's trained in my masterminds. This concept, this experience economy is, you have commodities and then goods and services and then experience and then transformation. Is when people are together, there's just such a deeper, richer experience. And to Andy's point, to drill into exactly what her question is that it depends, right? Is you can have a 3-day, multiple day retreat. You could block even a week and host a big retreat in Costa Rica, and destination retreats. There's all these layers. And you could have a half day, right? A few hours or an evening at your home, right? We might not call it necessarily a retreat, but a gathering that you're creating. But you can foster a retreat feeling in that amount of time for sure. And it just matters. And for me, what I look at is, let's say, ticket price. A portion of the ticket price goes back into the guests, right? So let's say you go, okay, we're going to have, 25 people. And at this price point, if you're charging for a retreat, right? Sometimes you're just hosting more of an informal gathering, like Andy's saying, hey, let's potluck, come together. But the power of when you put people in that room, again, you can do, but a portion of what I was starting to say is portion of your ticket sale goes back into the client for food, for room rental, for swag, for gifts, for workbooks, things like that. And so when some of your margin, your hard cost, to say, okay, right, that all depends, like how many tickets you sell and how high your costs are. But I just think I would recommit to hosting gatherings, friends. And again, whether it's in your own home and it's 10 to 20 people, or an open house style, they can come and go, or you choose to rent space at your local library, to renting a hotel ballroom, to renting a retreat center, various things that you can do. I would start smaller though, and lean into that, right? Like I've hosted all sizes of events now, like literally hundreds to over 1,000 people in large ballrooms, to intimate retreats. I've done retreats several times over in Park City and Deer Valley, Utah, and we rent the cabin, bring in the chef, and we do 3 days together. And that's a several $1,000 investment, right? Because they're paying for lodging and accommodations with then the training. And then you have sometimes a bigger margin, right? Where you can do the leather bound journal and the extra gifts and the blankets and the fun things like that. But if you've not done a retreat before, I would invite you to start smaller potentially, and a smaller budget, right? Based on how, then it's kind of like you're testing concept of how many people are going to come, have come, will come, how valuable that is, that you go, oh, okay, now we're ready to expand. Now we're ready to create that, right? Like I have a massive email list and massive, sales funnel that's nourished. And so when I commit to a big project like that, I've been leaning into that for years, that I'm confident that we will fill a room like that. We'll fill up the mastermind this summer. We'll fill up the retreats, right? Is because of that nature. And it's just the willingness. But when I was first getting started, right? My very first live event, my 1-day workshop, listen to this name. Andy, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but my very first 1-day workshop back in February of 2010, 13 years ago, was at a hotel, rented a smaller room at a hotel. I had 37 people come to my very first live event. And you might say, that's not bad, right? I had no email list, no website yet. We shared it on Facebook. I messaged people, called them, right? You can tell it's been a while since when I do this phone signal for a telephone, right? Like that dates me just a little bit.
Shut up, myspace.com.
Yeah. I never had a MySpace account. I feel sad I didn't ever have that in my life. But anyway, my very first event had 37 people come to it. And that might sound like, wow, that's not bad. First live event, until you know that 30 of those 37 people were my solid, close friends and family, doing me a solid, right? Coming out to support me in my new venture. But part of why I'm telling you that story, loves, is that now I've spoken on stages all over the world and filled large events and done all these things. I would never have what I have today if I wouldn't have gotten started. Right. And the willingness to put your flag in the ground, so to speak, stake in the ground, and that willingness to take the imperfect action to host the event. But again, we start small, host it at your home, or you can even rent library space, usually is free, right? And you gather people for more. Those are more perhaps classes and gatherings versus when you're asking about a retreat. But a retreat, it just depends on, again, what your price your ticket prices and your profit margin and, your likelihood of how many people will come to that. And you can maybe start, surveying people like who'd be interested in a one day or a weekend retreat. And, you can start kind of putting that out there to see what it is that you're attracting, what you're creating.
Totally.
Yeah.
100% agree. Chris is asking an interesting question about how often and how big of events to go for. So I'll just share a couple thoughts and then.
Yeah.
So I think most of that has to do with bringing your big energy is probably more important than, I know that when you're booking a space, you kind of have to know how many are going to come, but I would rather pack my house. Like, even if I live in an apartment, I was talking to last night, who was it? Their dad lived in a single bedroom apartment, and that was the only event space they had. And they would pack it on the regular. They would host classes, they would do mini retreats, and they were like, it was great. It was perfect. It was magical. And so, like, if you bring your big, best energy, then do them as often as you can. Like, it's the energy of live events creates momentum, and momentum is truly it's the magic of our industry. If you can create true momentum, then your business becomes unstoppable. It's like a giant flywheel, right? Like that energy it starts feeding on itself. And so I guess my coaching would just be like, look at your schedule and be honest with yourself about what's sustainable for you, but then also be thinking like, how can I duplicate this model? So when we were doing a lot of elite retreats back in the day, we were constantly looking at how could we make this as scalable as possible? Because at one point, Laura Jacobs was driving a fifth wheel with her whole family, traveling to do these events and bringing mattresses with her. Like she had bought, I think Elise Chedevi even bought, I can't remember if it was like 70 mattresses, and she was using a storage unit to store them and then renting the biggest cabin in Utah. Like, it got ridiculous. And so that's one way to do it, but it's not the scalable way to do it. So that's when we started saying, you know what if people just gathered, regionally in homes, and what if we provide the video content, the PowerPoints, whatever they might need, but like, it doesn't have to be this big, rent the Vivint or Delta, whatever it's called now. And, it doesn't have to be a corporate major event. Obviously, leverage corporate events. Like if you're not taking advantage of the Reclaim Your Health Spring Tour events, then you're leaving money on the table, right? Just know that. And there's so much magic when we come together with our own retreats. So I guess that's a really vague answer. I would just keep a finger on the pulse of your team to find out where they are and what would serve them, but also find every opportunity you can to up level and just ratchet up that energy. It's worth every bit of investment that we put into it. So Tiff, what are your thoughts on frequency and scale size of events?
Yeah. Well, I think we're circling the same themes, right? Which is, there's so much power, do it. Start perhaps like, quote, smaller, or like Tim's saying, think scalable, right? That's why I'm saying is like, hey, maybe your first retreat, you plan for 30 people, right? Or you're doing something. And again, we're using some language. We're saying retreat, and we're saying events, and we're saying gatherings, right? When I think of a retreat, it tends to be more intimate, cozier, sometimes lengthier amount of time versus larger gathering event that you're putting in a ballroom or that you're hosting. I don't know if the title is as important, right, as what you're creating in the space.
Mhm.
So you can call it whatever you want to call it, but your event is gathering people, but especially again, if you're going to rent space and provide food and various things, I mean, you get to make those decisions. But when you're starting small, I kind of, or getting started, I would lean less to like, I would not do the big grandiose, hey, rent the biggest ballroom you can and spend all your life savings on it. Is I would lean into, okay, here's where we're at and we'll start. And then to Andy's point, you gain more momentum and then you host the next one. It's just like them starting to host when they started hosting Experience doTERRA. When did you start doing that?
Gosh. Oh,
A year ago or so?
well,
Or longer? I mean,
we
you've
did
been
it
doing
before
events
COVID.
forever, but this particular thing.
Yeah, I mean, we did it before COVID. Um, and then we just had to transition to online during COVID. So we've been at it probably 4 or 5 years. We really committed to
Yeah.
doing it monthly just in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, yeah, I
But
totally
then
agree.
more people hear about it. And just like people in the chat box are saying, hey, get your people to go to one of those, and how valuable it is. And it's like, it just starts to create momentum the more that you do it. And so, yes, I love Krista saying, bring your big energy is what I heard, right? Is absolutely, it's like, hey, this is going to be an amazing experience. And whether you have 10 people there or you have 1,000 people there, you hold the same intention of like, let's bless these lives today and let's have so much fun and let's go deeper. But I promise it's one of those things about consistency. I have this quote here on my desk, which just is exactly what Andy is saying that reminds me of this often. I'll read this to you as well. But this quote says, part of cultivating a good life is to keep on trying. Consistency breeds momentum. Right? But consistency does breed momentum. And so if you continue to host something and you regularly are offering it, the likelihood of it gaining some more traction for you is definitely going to be more so in your favor.
100%. Yep. So Mary's asking about the Experience doTERRA event, what we do and share. So we start out with a tour of campus. It used to be just a tour of the manufacturing facility with the executive. So we go up to the 4th floor, we see the executive suite. We go down, see the diamond and leadership suites. And then we just point out the different parts of the call center and all that. But then we walk over to the manufacturing and people get to see the huge vats of oils, the bottling machines, the mixing machines, and just all the cool storage and production over there. It's really, really impressive. Really gives them a sense of the scale, right? But recently, ever since the Blue and Presidential Summit last year, we've added the fulfillment center to the tour. And that's where there's this huge A-frame packing machine that drops products. So a crate goes underneath this A-frame and it drops products in to fulfill the order. And it's so dang impressive. I don't know why, but to me, it's a better experience. Just seeing how doTERRA fills every one of your orders. So massive facility. But then we come back to the auditorium. They hear from an executive. Sometimes it's an owner, but they're usually out on Fridays. So it tends to be like a Dr. Riggs or Dr. Oscathorpe or one of the other C-level execs. And then we just start showing people what it looks like to build a business. So Natalie and I tell our story. We have, I don't know, 3 or 4 different people tell their quick stories. And they start showing like why network marketing, why doTERRA, why partner with the essential oils, and how it creates this retention rate that's off the charts that no other company can even dream of. And then we talk about that. So we have dinner, and then that evening we talk about more about the model, but also any concerns people are having. We resolve those concerns. And then we start Saturday talking about the plan. This is what it looks like to actually, and this is Experience doTERRA we're talking about, not the rank retreat. So Experience doTERRA is an introduction to the business. And then Saturday, we just basically go over, here are the tools. So we go over the reference guide, we go over the emotions guide. We talk about the business building guide. Everybody gets a copy. And then we just create a launch plan. And so we start talking about goals. We do some visioning experiences, just really help them see and start to dream about what's possible. So that's a quick overview. We start 2 p.m. Friday, we finish 2 p.m. Saturday, and it's powerful. One of the things we've been adding at the end, we were able to show the Pursuit movie, which doTERRA created. They've only shown it at convention. And so they gave us permission to show that in our theater. So people can watch The Pursuit. It's a 45-minute film. Really captures the co-impact story really, really well. So that's a brief overview of Experience doTERRA. Okay, Paula is asking, would you still recommend using the share guide when approaching customers about hosting a class or event? So obviously with the new Refer a Friend program, the old share guide is a little bit outdated. I think the new one, it could have launched while we were gone in Europe. So I would just check the website and see if they've updated that, because definitely the Refer a Friend is such a fantastic foot in the door to how sharing doTERRA can make so much sense and just be so simple. And it's as simple as an affiliate link, a friend referral link. So that would be my coaching. Looks like Dr. Christine is ready to come on. Oh yes, we do have a discount code. Thank you, Christina. So I'll look that up while Dr. Christine is coming on. So I think you're on. How are you, friend?
I'm blessed. I'm great. Thank you, friend. How are you?
So good. Thank you.
Good to see you. So I just thought I'd hop on and share a few, because I've been seeing what's going on in the chat, and just wanted to also thank you and Tiffany personally again for being here with us and doing this for us. We had our spring tour event this past Saturday.
Awesome.
It was amazing. And there's something incredible about having people from corporate come to your town, right? And it was a huge success, different leaders in the Atlanta area, and just really powerful. And I had people come from my team, customers that I did not expect to come, and I had people who bought the ticket and then had very real reasons why they couldn't come, and now have reached out and said, can we meet? Can you tell me what I missed? And so very powerful, and aligned with oftentimes what you and Tiffany tell me is, don't put limits on other people, open the doors, invite, and then get out of the way and let it happen. So I just wanted to put that out there for somebody who might need to hear that. But I do need a little bit of coaching on this, revolving around that same thing. So I was in Florida. I thought I'd be down there for about maybe 2 weeks tops, and I ended up being there close to a month for family reasons. I live in Georgia. I literally drove back and got to the clinic where we were Friday night having a business event. So someone from corporate blessed me and met with just a small handful of people on my team, new to want to learn more about the business. It was huge. And I got back to town literally 15 minutes before the traffic. So I didn't have time to go home. I couldn't get fresh. I couldn't change. What should have been a 7-hour drive was literally over 9.5 hours. And yet I had, like, the old me would have been totally freaked and totally panicked and maybe even canceled. Right. And I didn't. So that was my big win. And it was just very powerful, very helpful. We used a lot of your guides. So thank you very much. And we had Ruby on board. She's amazing.
Awesome. We love Ruby.
What a beautiful, beautiful person, beautiful soul. And then on Saturday we had Dr. Ashley. I'm losing my thought train, but just an amazing scientist, nurse practitioner that's part of the science team from doTERRA. And then we had Mike come on board that talked a little bit about corporate as well. So it was just a great team. Here's my question. I put so much energy, number one, into wrapping up what I kickstart in Florida, and getting that, keeping that going, and then getting back here to do the Friday evening and then the all day Saturday. And then of course, Sunday was Mother's Day. So time with my family, disconnected, really just enjoyed being with, my husband and my son, and we had a great day. And then Monday came. And now what? Like, I just felt like I'm a great planner. I'm a great organizer, but I don't think I've learned that you can't just plan that event. You have to plan the follow-up, because like you just said, great pearls, the momentum.
Yep.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, yeah. So do you understand my question? Like, so at what point do you not just look into the event? And I've thought about having like a retreat, because we've got this great place now where I could bring a team into, Florida, which is an amazing place, not far from Orlando. But gosh, there's just so much going into that. But then you really need to have the follow-up, right? You need to have like the home event a few days later, or I'm asking for referrals. That's kind of been my drop. I'm starting to ask for more referrals in person, preferably. And it seems like that's hard to piggyback onto planning these other great events.
Well, I totally want to give you an amen to that principle. Every event should build to the next event. Like when people are at a live event and they've been inspired and they feel the energy, there is no better time than right then to promote the next event. And so you're absolutely spot on about always having another event to promote, right? Like it's just human nature that if you don't, there's this law of diminishing returns. Like life happens, they get busy, they forget, like it's too easy to come back and remember the energy and commit to being there. So I 100% agree with you. I'm not sure I understand what your question though is in terms of, can you maybe state your question another way? Or Tiff, maybe you understood.
Yeah, no, I'd love for her to restate that too. So it's like, yes, you're doing all the right things. So I wasn't quite sure what the question was.
So I did not plan the next event. I should have had, I had it in my head, and, I have a few colleagues who are also chiropractors, and, we're going to start doing aroma touch therapy in the clinic. We're going to start doing the meta power. But I think moving forward, it would have been good if we would have had something tangible in place so that I could give a flyer or say, sign this here if you're interested, or would you like to come to the Meta Power event that we're having on May 18th? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and now that yeah. I'm going, I feel like I'm pulling back in, and it's deflating for me anyway, because I feel like I didn't provide. Like, I kind of feel like that's part of the service, like we want to give them more. We want them to know it's not just this.
Yeah, but honey, love, you thinking that thought, is that inspiring you or expiring you? I should have done X. To me, it feels like a big buzzkill.
It is. And
so let it go.
Yeah.
So you go, okay, moving forward, what did I learn? Next time I'll do different. No, we're going to be kind to yourself. You're learning and growing. Oh, what fun. I'm learning and growing. And then shift the energy, go for a run or a walk, and being like, oh, okay. And then seeing it as another opportunity to connect with people and like reach back out, that you're like, hey, I loved seeing you, or so glad you came, or I know you've expressed interest. Here's what's coming up next, and it's just another touch point. So I'm not sure if your question is, how do I shift my energy? Because it's like, that's the big thing that I get is like process through and use your essential emotions tools. But it ultimately just make a decision is like, because sitting in this space of I should have and I didn't, and I should have and I didn't, it's like, okay, but what do you want next, Christine? I want to nourish people and see them grow and help them get healthier, happier, and join my business. Great. Then let's pivot and you create your next thing and you move forward. But there's plenty of times I haven't been quote prepared, best prepared, or had the next thing or things ready to go right on time. And while that would have been quote nice, you can go, okay, I'm going to learn from that, but now let's move on. Again, I'm not making sure if I'm hearing that, correctly, if that's what you're really needing is you're saying, I just hear you recapping. Oh, I should have done something I didn't do. Okay. So you didn't do it. Let's move forward though, is like, you are doing things, you're doing a lot of things. So now you have, again, this opportunity to reach out, nourish them, invite them, and, excited to have another connection point.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to our awareness. And I'm, let's choose gratitude that you have this awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I've invested time and energy into powerful events. They're working. And now I can leapfrog and create even more momentum by having the next event scheduled. So thank you, God. Thank you, universe, for this awareness.
Yeah. And I love what Krista modeled for us, some scripting in the chat box too, is, the opportunity to call and say, thanks for coming. What did you get out of it? What did you learn? What was your takeaway? Awesome. Cool. The next thing coming up is this, and I'd love to have you there. Here's the details. Does that speak to you? Can you make it? That kind of a thing I think is really good. But yeah, you're doing great work, sis. Like, I mean, you've just hosted an event, right? Last weekend, correct? Yeah. Rockstar, let's celebrate that.
Totally.
I think a lot of it, again, so much of it circles back to our mindset, right? And what better tools than to have our oils? And the other thing, just piggybacking on where I am, when I was in Florida an extra 2 weeks, I ran out of all my supplements. And when I placed my monthly order, I thought I would be back in Georgia. So that's where they came. And can I tell y'all, I will never, ever be without adaptive gel caps. I will never be without my lifelong vitality pack and the turmeric and the phytoestrogen and I used more doTERRA Touch in those 2 weeks. I mean, I was just bathing in it, the adaptive. I mean, just anything to get it into my body. And I thought, well, Lord, if nothing else, this has just been a true confirmation how much I need this, because I am not my same self. I mean, I am, even like digestive issues started to resurface that I haven't really experienced for, the better part of 5 years. So they should be dropping that from airplanes. And it's just totally ignited my willingness to step out of my comfort zone and tell people, I don't care what they think. And I hope they receive it. But y'all, we just need to keep going. And I guess that was the other takeaway that I just now thought of while you guys were talking to me. So thank you. I appreciate you both.
Amen. Thank you.
Yes.
So
definitely
good.
feel it when those products run out. You're like, wait a second. Where are they?
Yeah, Natalie and I were totally feeling that in Europe. We're taking all of our kids plus 3 add-ons. And so dragging 12 people across Europe, through 4 countries. Most of our flights were either late at night or we had to get up at 3 a.m. to catch the flight. So thank you, Lifelong Vitality. Thank you, Meta Power and Mito 2 Max and turmeric, like all the things. We were totally relying on those powerhouse products. So true. Okay, Jenica has a great question. She's about to host a Reclaim Your Health event in Arkansas, I assume, and wanting to know how to make it powerful if you don't have a Laura Jacobs or a Dr. Riggs to present. So I know that doTERRA has designed the content to be a 3-hour event. I do not recommend going the full 3 hours. The feedback we've gotten from both times we've hosted is it was too long, and we only went 2.5 hours. So we start at 6:30, which, we say 6:30, be there. We don't actually start till 7. And then we finish at 9. it's just a lot to ask people to sit through that much content. And I mean, it's nonstop, like heavy content. So if I were you, I would just be selective, just pick the topics that the presenters are passionate about, and go from there. Like it's really, yeah. So basically it covers the whole wellness pyramid, and it goes into a lot of depth on each of the steps of the pyramid. So I would just say, choose wisely, just be selective, and don't try to be a Laura Jacobs or a Dr. Riggs. Just be you. Bring your own passion, bring your own stories, bring your secret sauce. Like that's the magic, and that's always what will make any event the very best it can be. Is when you're shining in your strengths, in your brilliance, your purpose. So that's my coaching. I don't know if you've got anything, Tiff.
Yeah, I think some of this, again, is like a combination of, I want to host a really successful class, love it, and a gathering, but then my own nerves, right? And my own, ooh, am I enough? Right? It's part of what I hear her asking in that question, am I enough? And the answer is yes, completely. Some really great business coaching advice I heard years and years and years ago was this business coach said, to a third grader, a fourth grader is a god. And why I thought that was so valuable is consider that the majority of the people you're inviting and coming is, so much more than they do about essential oils. They might know some, and occasionally they might know a whole lot, but consider that you're creating a space to add value. And when you come, so first and foremost, we get heavily anchored in purpose, right? So what's the intention of the event? The intention is to add value, to help people be, nourished and blessed and expanded, have joy and exposure to great products and great community. So mentally is like you show up with the intention of, I'm here to serve. And maybe I'm not a Laura Jacobs or, this Dr. Biggs or whatnot, but you come home you go, hey guys, right? I'm going to hold space to help educate and nourish and add value. That's so powerful. And then from there, part of having a great event is that you're asking questions. The more they engage, the higher they convert, right? You've heard me say that before, but that's a sales foundational concept. Engagement equals conversion. And so when you think about whether you have a piece of paper, you pass out that they can fill out a worksheet, or you ask them to ponder, reflect, their health goals, their needs, their challenges, what they want to feel more of, what they want to create, what they want to, as part of your event that you're creating, as you make it about them, asking those questions will also help serve and support you. Super powerful, right? Love. And you just think, oh, okay, we're adding value. And I think, again, the willingness, when I shared with you earlier today, was just to model that, my very first event had 37 people. It really had, there was 37 people that came, but 7 of those people really had come from my efforts of marketing and reaching out. The others were, again, truly just close friends, family that were helping me launch into this direction. And the willingness to start, the willingness to do it imperfectly, you're going to learn so much more. So similar to what Dr. Christine was modeling is like, host the events. And then, yes, you can recap and learn like, oh, what could I have done differently or better? But, again, when we're hosting and adding we're hosting gatherings to add value, to invest and infuse people, right? There's so much power in doing that. Right. And like when you said in your comment, I'm a little bit scared. I don't know how to keep people's attention for that long of time. Well, I think, again, you ask good questions, you make it about them. You'll be surprised how quickly actually, 2 or 3 hours can go by. I'd also have some good snacks in the room. Snacks always help. Love some good snacks. Right. But I, also want to do a kind of an icebreaker type activity. I have several of those where you're connecting a group of people. Again, you might have 8, you might have 28, you might have 58, whatever your number is, that people in the room or beyond, right? Hundreds of people, thousands, is, you can create different connection type activities that help them connect in the room and open up and share, and they're having an experience. Is you don't have to feel the pressure that you feel the full 3 hours. Is you hold the space, your questions, you're engaging. Yes, you'll be prepared with certain content pieces, but you co-create the event with your audience, is how I always see it. It's similar like the retreat I'm hosting in September. Is we're going to co-create. What are your needs? Where are you stuck? What do you need? And then we're going to go deep on that personal breakthrough matched with those business strategies. Same thing that, in any of these events is you co-create them. So it's not like, hey, it's all about me and I have to just perform on a stage. It's I'm in that kind of scenario, especially you're co-creating an experience. So anyway, hopefully that helps. But host them. You guys host them. The most important thing is that you do them. Isn't that, it's okay to be nervous. Do it scared. I still sometimes get the nerves and the butterflies. Very frequently I do when I'm going to do an event and get on a stage or host a retreat. It's like, ooh, yeah, because you're feeling out those nerves and butterflies. That's okay. That's a good sign.
So good. So many great questions. Love the conversation today.
Yeah, so many rich little gems tucked in here, you guys. Thank you for sharing.
And so much of it comes back to the power of human connection, right? Like the need that we all have to see and be seen, to love and be loved, to just to share, to be in each other's space and create community. So, Kim's asking if we have a continuing education series for new enrollees. Natalie and I had some videos online before the FDA letter, and so those all got taken down. Laura Jacobs has the best continuing education anywhere, and it's all through Enroll Pro. So if you just hop on enroll.pro, she's got access to all of that there. So thank you all so much for joining, and thank you for who you are and what you do. Thank you for lifting where you are and creating answers for the people in your life. Truly, each of us can be the answer to someone else's prayer. We have those solutions. So thank you so much. And yes, Melinda, back in 2015, the FDA sent doTERRA a letter and they responded. And so we had to, for compliance reasons, we had to take down a lot of stuff. So thank you all so much. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.